This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so the requirement that we had yesterday is that something like this, right? So we said we wanted to go ahead and create something known as a storage account, and we wanted to make sure that the script that I'm creating is reusable. So that's the reason we went ahead and said that, okay, fine, for this particular script to be reusable, I'll use something known as parameterization, right? By using something known as a param block, I will go ahead and declare the parameterization and etc. And two is that I also need to check whether a storage account is already created in that particular region or not. And if it is not created, if not, then go ahead and create a new one. This is what I want to try to achieve right now. So, and also right now that I do not have any resource groups in my Azure subscription. Like if you look at the Azure subscription that I do have, I don't have any resource groups. I went ahead and deleted all the resource groups that I had. So there is nothing, we're starting from the scratch. So I would also need to create a resource group as well. So a resource group is also required out here. So these are the couple of things that I want to right now achieve using the PowerShell scripts that I do have, or using the PowerShell scripts that I want to write now. So I will start off with parameterization. So I'll say it is param. I'll open up the param here and I'll say open and then close brackets. And I'll go into the param block and I'll declare a couple of parameters like resource group name, or let's say in short, I'll say RG name. I'll say RG name and then I'll say RG location and then I will say finally storage account name. So I am now declaring a couple of parameters out here and I am expecting the user to pass all these parameters at a later point in time. So I am not doing a read host, but I'm declaring something known as parameters inside this particular block known as a parameter block, wherein I'm expecting the user to go ahead and pass in something known as, let's say, the resource group location, and next the storage account name, all of these. Now, the first thing that I will ever do is that I'll say, I'll do a write host and I will write out all the parameters that were passed. Okay, that is the initial check that I will do, because when the script is running, it will be helpful for me to understand what is the name of the resource group, where what is the location that the user is passed in, etc. So I'm doing a write host out here and I'm saying, okay, fine, name of the RG is $RG name. I'm just giving this particular parameter on line number 2 out here. In the same way, I'll again do a write host and I'll say name of the location is, what should be the name of my location, guys? $RG location. So I'll say $RG location. So I'm just taking a location out here. I'm just replacing this particular sentence here. So I'm doing a $RG location. Finally, I'll say write host name of the resource group. So I'm doing 3 write hosts out here. The name of the storage account, and I will say $storage account name. So I'm doing what, a $storage account name out here. And I'll first do one thing, that I want to check whether the RG is existing or not. Initially, I want to do that check. So that's the reason I'll open up, or I'll rather declare a very dummy variable out here telling that it is RG status. So I am doing an RG status out here. I'm declaring a dummy variable. I'm saying is equal to get hyphen AZ resource group hyphen name $RG name. This is what I'm doing. And I'm passing on an additional parameter known as error action. And I will say the error action here is silently continue. because if the RG name is not existing, I don't want it to throw an error here. So now I will say, okay, fine, if, and I'll go inside of the if loop and I'll say if dollar $RG status is equal to null, dollar null, simple, the one that we did yesterday. So I'm telling that if you do not get a resource group in line number 11, then the RG status will be like an empty value. And if it is an empty value, then please go ahead and say, okay, fine, right host no resource group with the name found. I'll say no RG found, attempting to create one, creating one now. And here in this line, in the same if loop, I'm now going ahead and giving something known as what? New hyphen AZ resource group. And I'll say name. And in the name, I'm going for dollar $RG name. Then in the location, I'm going for something known as what? Dollar $RG location. So I am doing this particular loop out here, which is called if, and I will complement this if loop. I will add something known as an else loop out here. I'll say else, meaning when can the condition else be satisfied? If RG status is not equal to null. If RG, when can RG status again not be equal to null? When dollar $RG status has some value inside it. And when can it have a value? When it gets the resource group, meaning the resource group is already existing with that particular name. So I'll say, okay, fine, right host RG with the name dollar $RG name already exists. Skipping the creation. This is what I'm doing right now in the else loop, and I'm saying, okay, fine, the RG already exists, so I'm not creating it, and I'm just printing it out to the user. That's it. And this is where my resource group creation actually ends. Like this is the entire code from line number 11 to 21, where I'm checking the resource group is existing. If it's not, I'm going ahead and creating one, right? This is where my resource group creation is like done. So what I'll do is like I'll just collapse this.
Kiran, sorry to interrupt. I have a question.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh, in line number 13, you have given us if condition there stating if
right.
RG status is equal to uh,
Null,
null. So in
right.
line number 19, why have we not given again a condition stating if RG status is not equal to? Or is it that it is
So
understood that it is not equal to?
so what happens, Fareen, is that if and else are usually complementary statements. So in
Mm-hmm.
an if condition, if you're saying if RG status is equal to null, it can only go into else when the above condition is not satisfied. And the above condition is only the above condition will only not be satisfied when RG status is not equal to null. So that's the reason I haven't given. And else also doesn't support conditions. Like you just cannot declare an else
Okay.
statement. Else doesn't support conditions out here. Else will fall back on an if statement. So it is
Okay.
if or something.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. And please don't hesitate to ask questions in between, guys. It's perfectly fine if you're not following something. Please let me know if you're not following any line of the code. I'll again try to explain it out. Okay. It'll tell you first give null and then equal to. Anything is okay. So I can say null is equal to RG status. Like it's just an equal to, like A equal to B and B equal to A are like the same thing, right? So but Visual Studio Code will consider null to be the first parameter of it, but that's fine.
Good morning, sir.
Hmm.
This is Surya.
Yep.
Uh, is there any possibility to have nested if in this programming condition?
No, you don't have to, I mean, in the sense, you will not have any errors if you have a nested if, meaning an if inside an if. You can
Yes.
have multiple things that way. So not a
Yeah.
problem. But in my case, right, I don't need a nested if, meaning I don't need
Okay.
another if
Yeah.
statement inside the if loop.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can have it, not a problem.
Yeah. To apply more than one condition,
You
there is a
can, yeah,
possibility of having nested. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank
yes,
you.
you can do that. Okay, so what I'll do right now is I'll say, okay, fine. After the else loop, I am now giving a comment here, and I'm saying creating storage account. Now, these comments are just to understand, or if someone looks at your script, it is just to understand what you're trying to do out here, what you're exactly trying to achieve, and etc. And comments are like, one of the ways to tell that, okay, fine, I have worked on something. Like this is a professional way to tell that, okay, fine, I have some, PowerShell knowledge and etc. So make sure to comment things out whenever and wherever possible. Like make sure if let's say you are reading your script after a month or so, you will have to understand the same thing, right? So that's the reason I usually put the comments out. So at line number 23, I'm just putting a comment and I'm saying creating a storage account out here. And here what I'll do is that, okay, find the storage account name. Now the question or the ask here was that the storage account should be created in the same location as the resource group, meaning I want to extract the name of the resource group, meaning I want to just extract whatever is the resource group location, and I want to make sure to create my storage account in that particular location. So what I'll do is that I'll say put another comment and I'm saying extracting RG location, and I will do a dollar storage location. Now dollar storage location is an empty value. There is nothing till now. I haven't passed it anywhere. And I'm saying in brackets in parenthesis, I'm saying get hyphen az resource group hyphen name of the resource group is dollar again RG name, right? Whichever the resource group was created earlier, I am just taking that particular RG name out here. And after the parenthesis is closed, I'm saying dot location. This is how I'm ending up getting a location out here. So if I do a dot resource group name, I'll get the resource group name. I'm doing a dot location, so I'm getting the location of the parent. In my case, the parent is the resource group out here. So what I am doing right now is that, okay, fine, I'll say I got the location and etc. So in this particular line number 26, I am just declaring the location of my storage account. I haven't passed it anywhere. I'm just declaring it. I'm just getting it from the storage account out here. Sorry, from the resource group out here. Yes, line 26. So before we started the class, right, the ask was that I create the storage account in the same location the resource group is created. Like let's say you don't know in which location the resource group is created. Let's imagine that the resource group is already there, but you don't know in which location. So what I'm doing out here is that get hyphen az resource group hyphen name will give you the entire resource group object, like the name, the location, the ID, everything. What I am doing out here is that I am filtering out one specific parameter there known as, or one specific property known as location. How am I filtering that out? I'm saying, okay, fine, RG name dot location, give me that location of that particular resource group. And I'm using that location in the coming code. Okay, I'll use this particular location in the forthcoming code. Okay, yes. Mhm. So even before I execute my entire script, I'll have to do a login hyphen az account. Login hyphen az account. If I do a login hyphen az account and give my credentials like user ID and password, it'll go ahead and connect to the Azure portal. Okay, once it gets into your Azure subscription, it can then do a get hyphen az resource group. Then it'll understand which subscription that I need to look into. I'm logging in as an administrator right now because I only have an administrator account with this. So I am. Mhm. Right. So when you say that entering other than administrator, let's say when you have logged in into your free trial, with the now in your free trial, I'm assuming that you only have one user, which is you. So you are the administrator. So when you're logging to that particular account with giving the ID and password, you will be treated as an administrator. Hmm. Okay. No, not really. It will allow you to. But let me know what is the error that you're getting. I can accordingly I can tell you what is the error that you're getting there, and accordingly I can tell you what is the troubleshooting mechanism there. Yeah, like even without the administrator, you can log in, not a problem. Okay. So here, what I'm doing, the first thing that I'll do right now is that again, just like the way I did for resource group, I checked whether my resource group is there and went ahead and created something, right? In the same way, I will now check whether the storage account with that particular name is existing or not, right? Because if it is existing, there is no point in me creating it out again. So I will say, okay, fine. In order to get the storage account, now in order to get the resource group, I did a get hyphen az resource group, guys. Can anyone tell me what should I do to get the storage account, right? So it is a get command that I'm doing out here. So I'll say now I did declare an RG status. I'll say str status, meaning storage account status out here. So I'm just declaring a value out here and I'm saying, okay, fine, get hyphen az storage account. Let's give it a second and let's pass in the parameters out here. It's asking me the resource group name, and what should be the resource group name here, guys? $RG name, right? So because this is the RG where I'm trying to create this, so I'll say $RG name hyphen name. It's asking me what is the name of the storage account that you want to check, right? I'll do what? What should be the name of the storage account, guys? Anyone? What can be the name of the storage account out here?
dollar storage location.
Storage account name, because that's something that I haven't passed yet. So I'll pass it here. I'll say $storage account name, and finally I will do a hyphen error action, because if you do not get a storage account here, this command will throw an error, but I don't want it to throw an error. I'll say okay, fine, silently continue. Again, I'm doing the same logic whatever I did with the resource group creation. Again, I'm opening an if loop here and I'm saying if the dollar status is equal to null, or if I'll say it is not equal to null. In here I'm doing another, I'm just doing a different logic out here. In, let's say, line number 13, I said if the RG status is equal to null, I went ahead and created it. Here what I'll do is that I'll say if the RG status is not equal to null, then what can be, or what should be the command here, guys? Can anyone help me out with this? It should not create one. If it's not equal to null, it should not create one. Also, I'll say right host storage account already exists. Skipping the creation. Now I'll declare an else statement here, and else can only be satisfied when the str status is equal to null. Right? If the str status is equal to null, now I'll say okay, fine. Right host attempting to create a storage account. And then I will say new hyphen az storage account. And I will say a couple of parameters out here. It is resource group name, and I'm passing it as what? $RG name hyphen name. I'll say $storage account name. Let's see. Yeah. And you have SKU name. So I'll say this is standard LRS. location, and whatever location that I'm getting in the line number 26. This is where I'm getting the location of the resource group. So I'll take this parameter and I will place it here. So I'm reusing, or I'm rather telling that wherever the storage account is created, sorry, wherever the resource group is created, please create the storage account in there. I'm finally saying, okay, fine. Kind is the storage v2 and access tier is hot. This is what, or this is how I'm passing my entire command. And I can, so access tier. Sorry, could I, sorry? Okay, so I'll just delete this 1 second. So I said hyphen access tier, then give a space, and it's automatically loading whether it's hot or cool. I'm taking hot. Yep. So I'm just, yeah. I'm sorry. SKU is the replication. Whether it is standard LRS or premium LRS, GRS, whatever it is, like I'm giving the replication out here. So what I'll do right now is that I'll just save this file. Okay, just got enlarged. I'll say storage account create .ps1. Now, one important tip out here, guys, is that please don't include spaces in the name of the file. When you include spaces, right, it will take as a special character, and while you are executing, it might throw errors. So whenever we are, basically executing things out, or whenever we are saving something, even in the real-time environment, we don't give any space and we properly give a proper format out here. For example, I'm creating a storage account, so I need to understand this is a storage account create script. So I'll say the storage account create .ps1. Like these are the best practices what we follow generally. Okay, so I'll say, okay, fine, storage account create .ps1. Let me minimize this slightly. For the create. And what I'll do right now is that I'll split my screen and I will go into, let's say, the location where I have this. Let's say parameters, and this is the H and parameters, right? And here, if I want to see which path I'm working in, then what is the command here, guys? PWD. Either PWD or you can do a get hyphen location where you are working from. PWD is nothing but present working directory or current working directory. And here in here, right, if I do a get location, you can also see the path out here. So okay, I'll say I want to change my path, so I'll enter a command known as cd, and in quotes I'm just passing this out, and I'm changing the path to a h parameter. Let's do a cls, and now I'll say dot backslash. Now I have two different scripts out here, and I want the first script, so I'll say take this out and say hyphen rg name. So rg name, I'll say it is test rg hyphen rg location. It's something like east us2 hyphen storage account name. So storage account name again should be 3 to 24 characters, no special characters and etc. So I'll say it is dev stracc abcxyz, something like this, so that it can be unique. And I'll say enter. Now it is firstly giving me all the parameters basically that I'm basically entered. So it says the name of the storage account is something like this. So the name of the resource group is test rg. The name of, let's say, the location is east us2, name of the storage account, and then it said no rg found. So it did an if else, it checked, it went into the else, and it created one particular thing known as a resource group. And now it's going into creation of the storage account, and in the creation of the storage account, it's again doing an if else loop. And now it went into the else loop out here, telling that okay, fine, I did not find the storage account, so I'll go ahead and create one for you, and it'll take a minute to go ahead and create this for you. And now it went ahead and created the entire storage account here. It said okay, fine, this is how I'm creating the storage account, and this is the resource group and the location and everything. This is how I pass things out. Now if I execute the command again, says okay fine, RG with the name test already exists. It says storage account already exists, skipping the creation. So this is completely reusable, meaning if you change the name of the storage account, or if you change the name, let's say, of the resource group, and you basically end up executing this command, then it will go ahead and say okay fine, I'll create new one. So it's a reusable code basically what we have written, and you can use the same file right now any number of times with the different names and etc. Okay, any questions still here, guys? Parameters you can pass it. Any? Hmm? Out here, but I will do still a check. Okay, I'll still do a check, but if I know that my resource group is already there, this check can be skipped, and I won't let the user now decide what is the name of the resource group, because I want to basically create it inside a resource group. So what I'll do is that I'll take another command here and I'll say $rg name is equal to something like second rg in my case. Instead of passing it here into the parameter section, I'm passing it outside the parameter section so that the storage account can be created inside that particular resource group. So instead of letting the user decide, I am now deciding where it should be created. Okay. Any questions here, guys? Anything with this?
Hi, this is Shabir.
Just a second. Yeah, please go ahead.
Can I please?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, can't we create a storage account in a different location which is not from the resource group?
We can create it. We can, I mean, there is no correlation as such between the location of the resource group and the location of the resources that are inside it. But the ask on in the class was that could you create, let's say, the storage account inside the same location where the resource group was created. So that's the reason I did that. But you can create a storage account in a different location from the resource group.
Then, let's say if the storage account is in a different location, then how we are going to capture the location of the storage account if we don't know?
So if we so the thing is that if I don't know, then I will basically parameterize this as well. I'll say dollar storage location, and I will now let the user to decide what is the location of the storage account.
Okay,
So in that, Mhm.
let's say there is a requirement that have to be done programmatically.
Sorry, there's a requirement. Sorry, what?
Yeah, so I don't want to pass it as a parameter, so I just want
Okay.
to capture it in the code itself.
Okay, but if you want to capture it, right, you'll need to have a source,
Okay,
right? So if you say you want to capture it, so you'll definitely need to have a source out there. Your source should either be some of the resource groups that is already existing on the portal. So if you want to capture it that way, then this is the way, like, going ahead and grabbing, let's say, the location, like the way we did here. So this is
yeah,
what
then
I'm capturing it. So
yeah,
I need a source to capture it, right? So that's where I'm relying upon the resource group as my source.
okay. So let's say we have the storage account name. So can we do capture the location of the storage account?
You have a storage account name and you want to capture the location. Yes, you can do that.
Okay,
So the command is going to be get hyphen az storage account space hyphen the name and the resource group name, and in
okay,
brackets dot location.
okay. The same one, but it is going to be like a storage account command.
Storage account, exactly the same command that you're seeing on my screen at line number 27,
Yeah.
but instead of a resource group, it'll be a storage account dot location.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions here? You had a question, sorry. Yeah. Multiple storage accounts. Yes, you can list out them in a notepad. A better way to list them out is in a JSON file, like better than a notepad. We'll see also that, like, we'll see how do you do a file handling. Even that's, let's say, a lecture out there that we do have. Yes, it'll import your PowerShell script will read the data from another file, and then it'll take that as an input and then create things out. We'll look at that as well. Like that's a very important thing. I'll just need to explain what is a JSON before, so that everyone is on the same page and we can go ahead and see how to import data and etc. Any more questions here, guys?
Yeah, so actually, this block, right, storage location block. So it should be
Right.
in else block, right? What are the resource group block, right? If whenever the RG is already exists, then the storage block all will be executed. It inside the else, right? These are all storage.
You can do that, but what I'm doing inside the else is that I'm creating, or let's say if you come here, so the question, if I understand right, is that the line number 27 should be inside the if or the else, isn't it? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, correct. Inside the all
Yes,
storage location creation, all these
that's right.
things.
That's true. You can do that as well. But since I first went ahead and created a resource group, I put it outside the else. So any which ways it's okay for me. It can be inside the else or it can be outside the else. Any which ways is okay.
Mm.
Right. Hmm. Right. Correct. Right. Read host statements. You can have a read host statements, but the reason I'm not going for a read host out here, I'm going for a parameterization out here, is that all the knowledge that we're acquiring right now will be applied into the DevOps. So in DevOps, right, you cannot have a read host. The pipelines and everything will fail. If you have a read host, it's expecting a user input. Now in here, I can give a user input, not a problem. I can go ahead and in this particular output console, I can type it in. But when you're using the same script in the later stage of, let's say, our lectures, when we are doing Azure DevOps and etc., a read host statement is not that useful. So that's the reason I'm doing a parameter out here explicitly, and I'm passing out all those parameters out there, just to make sure that we are in the practice and we can take this forward to Azure DevOps. That's the main reason I'm relying upon parameters out here. Any more questions here, guys? Now, again, I have another requirement out here. Now the client is telling, okay, fine, you did a great job, fine, not a problem. But I need now multiple storage accounts in multiple locations under the same resource group or a different resource group, that's fine. Multiple storage accounts, multiple locations, and also different SKUs. Like one storage account should sit in LRS, the other should sit in GRS, the other should sit in RAGRS, and etc. So this is a requirement. Let's say that there are three storage accounts that I have. Like I want to go basically go ahead and create three storage accounts. So I'll say three storage accounts in three different locations in, let's say, three different tiers, three different replication tiers like LRS, GRS, and LRS and stuff like that. So I want to achieve something like this. So can anyone tell me how can we do this, guys? Any logic that y'all know, anything that basically that y'all can help me with? Any idea for this one? So when we started out with PowerShell, right, we did something like, hi, I am Ravi, I belong to Mumbai. I am something, belong to something. Using like a for loop, using let's say something like a for loop out here, I was able to achieve it. So can I apply the same concept to, storage is also? Definitely yes. How can I do that? Let's see.
First, we
So
have to create
I'm sorry.
arrays in them and use the for
Yeah,
loop.
we will have to create arrays. Yes, we will have to rely upon arrays. So what I'll do out here is that I will have three arrays. So I'll say array declaration, array declaration out here, and I'll have three different arrays out here. One, I'll say it is storage account names. This is the array that I have. And what is the syntax for an array declaration, guys? Equal to @ open and close parenthesis. So equal to @ open and then close these brackets. And I will say, okay, fine, this is dev store acc abc us east 2. Like this is something that I want to create in something like us east 2. This is for the developer. I also have a team known as QA. So I will also basically make sure to account them. So same naming convention, but instead of dev, it will be QA. QA storage ABC something something something. And I want the storage account or this particular storage account to rely or to basically sit in a region known as Central US. So I'll just take this out for my understanding. I'll say this is Central US, CUS. Like I'm just giving a region code out here. Then finally, I also have another team called DevOps. So I also consider them. And let me just shorten this name because ACC and all is not okay. And this I need in something like North Europe. So I'll say NEU North Europe. So I'm just taking three different storage accounts. I'm building. This can be anything. This can be any any kind of a value out here. Now I'll say location, and I want the development storage account be in a location called East US 2. So I'll say East US 2, and I want the QA storage account to be in something like Central US, Central US, and finally the DevOps storage account to be in something like North Europe. So I'll say North Europe. And finally, I had one more requirement telling that, okay, fine, the SKUs should also be different. Let's say the development storage account needs to sit in something like something like LRS. The QA needs to be sitting in GRS, and also the DevOps storage account needs to be sitting in GRS. Right. So let me declare that. I'll say SKU. I'll say equal to again @ open and close parenthesis. Is standard underscore LRS for the development. Standard underscore GRS for the QA, and again same thing, standard underscore GRS for the DevOps storage account as well. So I am having like three different arrays right now. So what I will do right now is that firstly I will see if the values are coming out to be right or wrong. Like I'll see how the values are turning out coming out to be out here. So I'll say I'll open up a for loop, and now I am declaring a condition for the for loop, and I'm saying $I is equal to 0 because I is starting from 0. $I is less than any of the array because all the three arrays are of the same length. Any of the arrays, and I'll say $storage account names dot count. Doing a count here, and here I am doing an iteration. I'll say $I plus plus so that I can get incremented. The value of I can get incremented every time. And inside this, I'll firstly do a write host. I'll say attempting to create a storage account with the name. What can be the name here, guys? $storage account names. Right, but $storage account names is a complete array. $storage account names is actually a complete array. So it should be $storage account names dollar storage account names in the bracket dollar I, in the bracket dollar I. What I will suggest here is that when you are passing the variables inside the quotes, right now I'm passing the variable inside the quote, sometimes the variables may not be resolved, meaning PowerShell might understand that even that is a string. So what I'll do here is that I'll give another dollar, open and close parenthesis. So just as a safe side, I'm doing a dollar, open and close parenthesis, inside which I'm passing the actual value there, inside which I'm passing actually the name of the storage account and etc. In the same way, I'll just copy this out. Since I've written one statement, I'll just copy the entire statement out and I'll say attempting to create. Okay, fine. I'll say the location is, it is what, guys? Dollar of dollar location in brackets dollar I. So I'll say it is dollar location here. Then finally the SKU. So I'll also do a write host for the SKU here. SKU is again dollar of dollar SKU and then I. Now this loop is going to iterate itself 3 times and I'll get like a lot of values, and I just want to have a line separator between each and every loop. Every time when the loop executes, there is one block of like sentences that are forming out here. So just as a line separator, I'm just putting a write host out here to begin with, and in the quotes I'm just like putting this line separator out here. That's it. I'm just doing a line separator so that it can be more understandable for a user who reads the output. So what I'm going to do out here is that I'll say okay, fine, let me execute this entire statement, and now you're getting a neat output out here telling that okay, fine, attempting to create the storage with the name something, the location is ECS2, SKU is standard LRS, and then attempting to create. So 3 blocks of code is something that I was able to go ahead and create. Finally, what I'll do is that again in this loop, it's up to you all whether you want to check the status of the storage account and etc. See whether it's already there, and if it is there, don't create it. If it's not there, go ahead and create it. All these things are up to you. If you all want, you can put it. Let's say I want this out, so I'll say okay, fine, storage status str status, and I'll say equal to get hyphen az storage account hyphen resource group name is whatever is there here. So I'm hard coding the name of the resource group. So I have a test rg. So I'm just taking the name of this particular resource group. I'm hard coding it here. That's it. Sorry, rg. So I'm just reusing the resource group that I have. I can also go ahead and create one like that, like the way we did in the earlier script. And I'll say name. And what should be the name here, guys? Right, storage account name. So dollar storage account names. Is this the only thing? Square brackets, dollar I. And finally, I'll say hyphen error action is silently continue. And inside the for loop right now, I'm opening an if. I'm saying if dollar str status is equal to null. I'm saying write host storage account not found, creating one, creating a new one. And finally, inside this, I'll say new hyphen az storage account, and then I'll give all the parameters like resource group name, which is test rg. Name of the storage account again is simply dollar storage account names dollar I. Then finally, it's saying SKU name. Now SKU name, guys, can anyone help me? What should be the name of the SKU here? Right, dollar SKU, dollar I. And location again is again I have a location array here. So it is dollar location, dollar I. And then kind is again storage v2. All these are hard coded values. So I'm just passing access tier is hot. This is how I am going ahead and creating. And while creating, I'm also checking this out. So I can also go ahead and say else loop out here. I'll say else right host storage account already exists. Storage account already exists. Skipping creation. So I am writing the entire piece of code. So your code can be as simple as complex depending upon what you're trying to achieve out here. Depending upon what exactly that you're trying to achieve out here, it can be complex, simple, anything. So here I'll just do a CLS and I'm just executing the entire thing. Now it's saying okay, fine. Attempting to create, and then it's saying storage account is not found, creating one right now, and it will go ahead and create the entire storage account for me. So it is doing a check, it did a check, it's done. Now it will go ahead and start creating things out. This is how you can kind of write the logics out here, guys. Any questions here, guys? So what happens is that, let's say you are removing the variable, you are re-executing it, that variable now will now go as a null value. Just show me once, okay, like what is how you're trying and etc. And now hmm, it's forgetting the value. Okay, just show me how you're executing it. I can tell you what exactly is going on. Any questions here, guys, that what you are trying to do and etc. Anything, guys, anything here with this entire code? Anything with this? As in like the declaration of variables, you can. It'll still work, yes. It's not a case sensitive. You can give a dollar capital SKU, call it in the small. It's not a case sensitive. Any more questions here, guys? So here it's going ahead and creating multiple storage accounts out here. So it says, okay, fine, I created, let's say, this dev str account, and then it is in standard LRS and ECUS2 and etc. So in the region where I went ahead and did and everything, if I now go into the Azure portal, and if I now say storage accounts, I have multiple storage accounts out here. There should be one more storage account that should get reflected. It will take some time and we'll go ahead and reflect that also. So if I do a hard refresh of my browser, it will now say, okay, fine, this is the storage account and etc. So okay, fine, let's see where that storage account kind of went. So these are all the storage accounts where it went ahead and showed and etc. Now the thing here is that finally I now have storage accounts that are created in different tiers, LRS, GRS and etc. Now your requirement is that your company is now telling that, okay, fine, we don't need the storage accounts in GRS because they are costing us a lot. We are good with LRS, we want to reduce the cost, and there are not 3 but 300 storage accounts. I want your script to identify whichever storage accounts are not in a tier called LRS, grab them and change it to and change it to LRS. So scale all your storage account down to LRS. So this is the requirement that I'll give you all, is that I now have multiple storage accounts. I have multiple storages. And let's imagine that my portal doesn't have three, but somewhere 30 or 40 or something like that. Or let's say even in hundreds. I want my PowerShell script to identify firstly all the storage accounts and grab every storage account that is not in LRS. So get all the storage accounts which are not in LRS and change them or change the tier to LRS. This is the requirement that I have. So please let me know what is going to be your approach, how you're going to approach this out, and probably please try this out. And please do send me screenshots if you're done. And while sending screenshots, guys, please say, please say, tell your name so that I can identify who you are and etc. Just don't send screenshots that way because I won't be able to know who's sending and etc. Right? So please, kind of send your name across with your screenshot and etc. And I'll be able to help you out. Okay. Any questions before we close for the day, guys?
Yeah, this is Shabir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
But can we write functions in the scripting? So, I mean to say like
Yes.
different.
Y- yes, you can write functions in, let's say, PowerShell. Like functions
Okay.
are advanced way of doing, PowerShell scripts and etc. You can write functions. Yes, you can do that.
Okay. And let's say I have two script files.
Hmm.
Okay, so I want to call one script file code into the another script file. So how do we do
You
that?
can do that. So
Okay.
just like the way that I am doing here, so I am calling a script file here, right? For example, I'm saying dot backslash and I'm calling a script file here. Just like this way, in my script file, I can say write host executing another PowerShell, and I can say dot backslash and I can just call this out. This will get executed. And
Okay.
you can also pass in parameters and all, everything. Like you can pass in parameters and everything. This works.
Okay.
So you can call a PowerShell script from inside a PowerShell script. That's possible.
Okay. The execution plan is top to bottom approach or
It's a top to bottom approach.
okay.
It's a line by line. So it will first execute the first, then go to second, so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, you had a question. Right. From this script will be displayed in this part. Yes, that output can also be used in another script. Simple. That output should be stored in a variable. You can carry that variable forward. It's a global variable, yes. So you can carry that particular variable forward also. Any more questions here, guys?
Sir, can we use read host in params or
Write host in, sorry, inside a param.
read host in param?
So it's either one of them, like either a read host or a parameter, like any one of them will work. Like parameter itself is doing a read host out here internally.
Can you show one example?
No, this is itself, like I'm telling you, I mean, it's either a read host or a parameter.
Okay, sir, with read host, can you show syntax over there also?
In here, so if instead of, let's say, param, I will take this out. I'll say equal to read hyphen host. Please enter the name of the RG and location, read host. Please give a location. So instead of parameters, I'm now doing a read host and I'm passing all these things out this way. Does that answer
Okay.
your question?
No. As I was trying keeping the param itself, so I was getting errors. So,
No, the thing is that the param itself is like a read host statement. Like it's itself is like, explicitly acting like a read host, but you cannot give a read host inside a param. It won't accept the syntax. Param is itself just telling it, okay, fine, give me a value. That's it.
oh,
Any more questions here, guys? Okay, then we are good to close this session, guys. And have a great weekend ahead. Please try this out and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, guys.